This is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
Hey everybody, how we doing tonight? Welcome to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. Yours truly, Joe Trahan, along with the producer extraordinaire, the one, the only, Andrew Seeley. Cowboy fans, this long winter of discontent is just about over, and it's gonna, that team will go quietly into the deep dark night soon enough, but not just yet. Not before we have a few more things to say about what we saw on this day. So I'm curious, what do you have prepared for us today, Andrew?
Well, listen, I had 2 weeks off from talking about this team, so I got to get back in the swing a little bit to try and, wrap my hands around what has happened since this. But to say they're going quietly is an understatement. Let's get right into it with what's on the show.
Here's What's on the Show, sponsored by NFM.
The Cowboys season was done before kickoff, and they played like it in the second half of their latest loss this time to the Chargers. We'll break down what bothered us most about today's game and take a look at the future for this team as they prepare to turn the page already to next season. And for the final time this year, we go no fence riding with an eye on the college football playoff. That's what's on the show. Joe, now who's on the show?
We've got a couple of WFAA favorites on the show. The one and only Mike Leslie, who was at the game. He had the absolute pleasure of watching that defense just cook in person. And we've also got Jonah Javad joining us from her home. Sources close to me tell me that you walked away from the TV a lot, Jonah. But I don't know that that's true, but I can only hope that it's true because you had the ability to walk away from your TV screen. Mike, let's start with you. Since you had to, suffer through it in person, what bothered you most about what you saw, especially from that Cowboys defense today?
Since we're saying this is kind of the winter of discontent for them, winter officially started 14 hours ago as of right this minute. So we're just beginning dealing with this reality for the Dallas Cowboys. It feels like Groundhog Day. It's the same story over and over again with this week, with this team. Every single week, this is the deal. The offense plays well. Today, only for a half. The defense doesn't play well. Today, as with always, for all four quarters. And this team cannot win football games with this defense playing at this level. It's why they are 6-8-1. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And it's hard to see them escaping this reality without making huge, huge changes on that side of the football in the offseason.
Yeah, but it's like unlimited sequels, and they never end well. Like the villain always wins. It's crazy, right, Jonah?
Yeah, it's just like another garbage movie on Netflix that we have to watch because it just came out. It's a new release. We have to see, even though we know how it ends. It's just become such a far too predictable result with this team week in and week out. And this week was no different. I mean, the 0 sacks and 0 takeaways is really despicable. I mean, your season is effectively over. You're not going to the playoffs. Why not dial up some pressure and try like heavens to get the quarterback on the ground, which has been an issue for this team all season long. The writing is on the wall with, obviously what's next, with the defense, I would think. I don't want to assume because you should never really assume anything with the Cowboys. But Mike brought up Groundhog Day. It really is Groundhog Day for the last 30 years. If it's, not this thing, it's the other thing. And I think at this point, we're just kind of setting our watches for 2 weeks from now when we can put this sucker to bed.
Yeah, Joe, I asked you this question right before I went on vacation for a little bit. Had you switched the wins around, if it had, let's say, they lost to the Eagles and the Chiefs like we all kind of expected them, and then all of a sudden they had put 2 wins together and maybe stubbed their toe on the Chargers team that still has a chance for the 1 seed practically and a division title at this point, would you feel better about the situation, or is this all based on, the backslide from giving us hope just that little bit?
I do think it was based on the backslide, right? Because with the addition of Quinnen Williams, you thought that there was a different way that this defense could go about its work. And that's first and foremost by stopping the run. That way you could put yourself in good down and distance situations where you could then thereby bring pressure, especially from the front and from, those tackle positions where we get in the quarterback's face very quickly. And for a couple of games, we saw that wreak absolute havoc. And you thought that could be the template moving forward. Unfortunately, and remember, you guys, during the week, Jerry Jones said that, he wanted to have a 3-week evaluation of Matt Eberflus. I would submit to you after 1 week, there's no reason for the other two. The evaluation is done. We see what this team is. We see what it can be. We see what this defense, we see its ceiling. We've seen its floor too many times. But, you know, I wish ill on no one, but you guys, we know the change is coming, right? Because once the change comes, then Jerry can sell more hopium, right? Because there'll be someone new. That's the merry-go-round of blame that has existed, you know, in Cowboy land for 30 years. And it's coming again because that's how they do business.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a situation where after the game, I asked Jerry, what element of blame does he and the front office carry in the defense being as awful as it was this season? And what I was driving at was the talent that they had put on the field, or lack thereof, the decision to trade Micah Parsons 1 week before the season. Like, if you're going to evaluate Matt Eberflus, and I think very fairly you can evaluate Matt Eberflus and the job that he's done and say he should not keep his job. However, a week before he began his season, they traded his best weapon after he spent the entire offseason planning a defense that he thought was going to center around Micah Parsons. That was what I was driving at. Instead, Jerry, in saying what blame the front office needs to take, what blame he needs to take in the ultimate outcome of the Dallas Cowboys defense, the thing he pointed to was his own decision to hire Matt Eberflus. So yes, clearly I think we're moving on here. This is not some big secret. That's where this is all going. He said he wouldn't do it before these final 2 games, but yes, very obviously that's where we're going with all this.
I just keep wondering, would Micah Parsons have made a significant difference for this team this year? You know, had there been no trade, you know, had he signed and he would have been with the team all season, would things have been different for the Cowboys defense this season? And part of me is like, no, because there's 11 guys on defense at all times, and they had so many issues in the linebacking core, and the secondary had problems. But then they go back to this whole zone defense is predicated on you need guys to get in the backfield and pressure the quarterback almost instantly, and that's what Micah Parsons brought to the table. And so there is definitely a part of my mind that goes to maybe they would have contended for a playoff spot had number 11 been on the field this year. And the fact that they traded that away to start the year, we said it months ago, they're basically sabotaging their season by trading Micah Parsons away a week before the season. Guess what happened? They sabotaged it.
I think you bring up a really interesting point, Jonah. I would say this. I would go back, you know, to last season when Mike Zimmer, the times he tried to bring pressure with 4, and they had Micah Parsons, and they struggled getting pressure with 4. They struggled because they just double up Micah, and then nobody else could get home, right? And I don't know how that would have changed in a big way this year, and I feel like it would have been just a slow death by a million cuts, right, with the way that Eberflus wanted to play defense. And it just felt like, you know, they put this coaching staff together kind of last minute, really quick. They, you know, it wasn't a matter of Schottenheimer getting his staff together and doing it in a coordinated manner. You know, they were just kind of cobbling it together with some people that Eberflus knew, and it just – Eberflus's way of going about it did not fit what was on this roster, and the Cowboys didn't do a good enough job of filling in those gaps that existed, and that is why we're here right now.
Yeah, that's kind of an understatement to say the least. Again, this whole entire season has been predicated on the defense. We can talk about offense all we want in the next segment as we kind of build toward what this Cowboys team will look like moving forward, and we got plenty of questions where that's concerned, so stay with us on the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
Today's headlines, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers.
Make it 5 straight wins for the Stars. They roll past the Maple Leafs 5-1 tonight. Next up, the Red Wings in Detroit on Tuesday night. And congrats to the Texas A&M women's volleyball team. They sweep Kentucky in the NCAA Division I championship match, the first ever volleyball national championship in Aggies program history. At least the Aggies won something this weekend.
Listen, it was a tough weekend for Aggie fans, but hey, you got a natty. You got a chip out of it.
Yeah.
So it's not all bad. I know you want to keep going in football, but this happens. We will keep going in football and talk more about the Cowboys because, listen, in a very difficult day, I do think we can talk about Dak Prescott and George Pickens. And here's hoping that what we saw today further cemented the fact that Jerry Jones needs to figure out a way to keep George Pickens on this team. Jonah, starting with you, do you think it happens? And do you think they go the easy route and use the franchise tag?
First and foremost, I just need to know if Jerry Jones knows the name of George Pickens' agent, because he didn't seem to know the name of Micah's agent, and they share the same agent. So yes, a lot of this will have to do with figuring out what that price point is going to be with David Mulugheta, who is known for getting his clients maximum guaranteed money. So if this does come to a contract dispute and trying to keep George long term, I don't think that bodes well for the Cowboys historically, especially on the heels of what we saw with Micah Parsons last year. The franchise tag would certainly be an easy way out. I think if you're George, you would not like that very much. But the pay is commensurate, with the position. And so talent-wise, the Cowboys need him moving forward. I think that's pretty clear. Having him on the field along with CD makes this offense so dynamic that if you can just throw out an average defense, this is a playoff caliber team. The problem is the defense wasn't even average, and so here we are.
And unfortunately, the defense hasn't been average, outside of when Dan Quinn was here for seemingly what feels like forever. And even at the end of the Dan Quinn era, this defense struggled mightily. Go ahead, Andrew.
No, I was just going to throw out on Mike's perspective. I understand that we've kind of had this roller coaster all of a sudden with Pickens, where it was essentially a honeymoon for about 8 weeks of the season. Then all of a sudden, 2 relatively low points that had national pundits call him out publicly about his effort on these plays. And granted, he looked fine today, but how much is that going to factor into this discussion here?
I don't think it should. Guys have bad games. CeeDee Lamb's had some bad games this year. Nobody's concerned about whether or not CeeDee Lamb is going to be an impact player for this team going forward. He had 2 bad games against the Eagles in big spots. He's fine. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Guys have bad games. George Pickens had a couple bad games. Oh my goodness, he didn't have 100+ yards in those. He was fantastic this year, and he was again today. George Pickens is going to be just fine, and very clearly is somebody that they need to sign and bring back in some form or fashion. And yes, it may be the franchise tag. They may have to massage this because of salary cap realities, but they absolutely should be doing everything they can to have this guy back on the roster, because that weaponry for Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens on the outside is an embarrassment of riches and makes this Cowboys offense very, very hard to stop. They should be doing everything they can to take, hey, everybody in the offense, y'all are coming back, and we'll figure out the defense. Everybody they should be trying to bring back right now, Javonte Williams included, because the offense absolutely works. It's just all the other stuff.
And listen, they do have a lot of money that they can move around, right? They can push out money with Dak Prescott's contract, with the contract of CeeDee Lamb as well. There are moves that they can make to find salary cap room. You're not going to have to pay a premium for Javonte Williams. You will have to pay a premium, as Jonah was alluding to. It's a great point. You will have to pay a premium if you try and go long-term with George Pickens. But I would submit to you that he's worth it. I mean, he found a home here. He found Schottenheimer and Dak and CD were able to unlock the best that guy can offer in this league. He's got more than 1,300 yards. He's going to be either second or third in the league once all the numbers are done for this weekend. And here's hoping that he can see that vision as well, and Brian Schottenheimer can effectively communicate that vision to Jerry, so that we don't have to wait for Jerry to see a bunch of leaves fall and wait until training camp and afterward before he makes up his dang mind about making a move that should be made sooner than later to save the organization money.
Can I play devil's advocate just for a second on my own point? Because I advocate that they should sign him long term, but the cost that would take is also taking money away from a lot. They need a lot of help on defense. It's not like 1 or 2 positions. They need a lot of help on defense, and I do wonder, like, has Ryan Flanoy showed enough to elevate into that number 2? And you can draft a receiver and to fill the spots. Receivers, in some degree, are more replaceable than big-time starters on defense. I just wonder if that money could be allocated better.
No, it's a great point. Yeah. I think you can they need linebackers really bad, cheap, right? You need to try and hit a couple of draft picks. That's the answer to all of this, right? Because they do have more draft capital now. They need to hit on those picks, put those towards the defense, spend some money on the offense, and keep it going. All right, we got to get to a quick break right now, but coming up, it's time for Andrew to take the wheel. We're going to gamify Ultimate Dallas Sports Show coming up next.
Hold on to your hats. Welcome back to the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show. For the final time in 2025, it's time now for everyone except Michelle's favorite game, no fence riding. Concept is simple. I've got a series of statements for our esteemed panel. It's up to them to decide which side of the fence they're on. No riding the fence, or they get called out. All right, state number one. The CFP committee should not overreact to the Group of Five's performance this weekend. I get it. I had multi-view on between college and pro football on Saturday and spent most of my time watching the NFL games at night. The margins were pretty ugly on the college side, but a crucial part of college football is the big underdog upsets and Cinderella teams. I understand not wanting two in the playoffs, but to remove them entirely would be a mistake. Jonah, lead us off here.
Here's my issue with that is college football is not like college basketball on March Madness. It is so much harder for a Cinderella team to make a run deep into the college football playoff. It just frankly never happens. So from that aspect, I do feel like this iteration of the college football playoff is, there's some teams that stake a claim that we should get in. Teams like Texas certainly had a good, fun weekend of, sitting on their couch. But yeah, I mean, in large part, I tend to believe that we're going to see, or we should see, that some of these teams that should have gotten in will get in future years as opposed to conference champions if they decide to manipulate the formula.
Mike, your thought?
Tell Appalachian State that Cinderellas can win in college football, first of all. Second of all, how many power conference teams have we seen get absolutely blown off the field over the years? We've seen it happen to Alabama. We obviously all saw it happen to TCU. We've seen this happen to many, many high-level programs. Blowouts in the CFP are frankly the norm, regardless of who's on the field. So the idea that Group of Five teams are the only ones being blown out is absolutely false and should not be an immediate disqualifier. It's not likely we're going to see another season like this where there are two. And if it does happen that way, just like it was this year, ACC, that's on you, not on James Madison or Tulane. Don't penalize these schools because of where they come from or because of the fact they got blown out. All these schools get blown out. Everybody has been on the bad end of one of these.
Blame the ACC for the way this thing played out. I do believe that one Cinderella team deserves to have the ticket to the ball every year, and that's with 12 teams, certainly with 16 teams. Here's the other thing, you guys. Stage fright in college football is real. Ask Michigan against TCU when they go on to win the championship the following season. And if it happens to a Group of Five team or if it happens to Texas A&M, it's just part of it. Don't try and blame Group of Five. They deserve one Cinderella bid if we're going to expand the playoff, because that's how it goes. Because once one of them does pull off the upset, first round or whatever it is, it's great for college football and it's great for sports.
Texas A&M's from the big bad SEC and scored 3 points.
Just twisting the knife there, Mike, based on what? All right, our final statement here. The size of the CFP playoff field is actually perfect as it is. Will it expand because there's gold in them hills? Probably. But right now, we have a healthy, meaningful debate on who gets in and why, and allow a healthy group of teams a chance to win. Mike, lead us off here.
I kind of want it to go to 16. I feel like that is more reflective of, you try and do the numbers of how many teams make the NCAA tournament in basketball relative to how many teams there are. It feels like a more mathematically logical outcome. And I know people were worried when we went from 2 to 4. People were worried when we went from 4 to 12. People are going to be worried when we go from 12 to 16 that we're going to lose the essence of college football. It still hasn't happened at any of these points along the way. So I don't think we need to be worried about that part now.
Quickly, Jonah.
Why even play a regular season then? Let's just, let's just move to a 64-team field and just start with the playoff.
All right, I'll
Keep it at 12.
I'll cut you off. Here's what you do, because that's what sports is. That's how we do every sporting event. That's how we do it. That's how we do it. We have playoffs. We crown a champion. That's how it works, and it should work that way in college football as well. 16 would be good. 8 playoffs at the higher seeds home stadium. Very cool. No more than 16. Cut it off there. All right.
Yeah, I get on board with that.
You guys are awesome. Thanks so much, Jonah, Mike. Great stuff. Appreciate it. Andrew and I are back right after this with the final word. Stay with us. Here's my final take. Now that the Cowboys have been officially eliminated from the playoffs, yet again, it is officially 30 years now since the Cowboys have made it to the NFC Championship game. And my wish and my hope is for Cowboy fans. Here is hoping that somehow, some way, the law of averages catches up for you. And somehow, some way, after 3 decades, your team can stumble its way back into a nice playoff run.
Just to put that in perspective, I am 33 years old. So you can only imagine how tall I was when this whole streak started. Real quick, programming note for next week. The Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, will not be on. We will instead be in the middle of a countdown of the top 10 moments from the 2025 sports season as a whole. You're talking Mavs, obviously, Cowboys, Rangers, Stars. We've got it all covered. Jonah will host it. That'll be on next Sunday night in place of Sports Special and the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
He's Andrew. I'm Joe. Thanks so much for watching. That is the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show.
This has been the Ultimate Dallas Sports Show, sponsored by your North Texas Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.